the first thing is homes across America are older than they've ever been. Renovation costs keep climbing, and many families now have adult children moving back. I know that's a really nice news there. So here's the big question. Does it make more sense to renovate the home you have or to buy the one you really need? And that's really the overarching question of our topic today. So let's get into the first one.
Okay.
And so the average home now, this is when we did the research, it was like this surprised me. The average home in America is now 44 years old. Are you, Art, seeing more homeowners choosing to renovate because they feel financially locked into those current low mortgage rates?
Yeah, we are seeing more of that. But, in that regard, when I get approached with somebody who's sort of got that mindset, I don't just necessarily take that and run with it in terms of trying to address what they're thinking in terms of giving them the financing options. I want to have a little bit more of a discussion about, is that really the right thing for you to do as to what you're thinking? Because, yeah, I mean, homes are getting older than ever. 44 years old is a pretty, it's a pretty old home. And then you've got that layering into that, this other phenomenon, which I actually read a few articles about earlier this week, about, grown, children, adult children who are more often now moving back to mom and dad's house. And what's interesting is, while that not long ago was looked at sort of in a negative way, like, that person who's doing that was not viewed real positively, having to go back to mom and dad's home. It's actually becoming more socially accepted. The reasons why adult children are doing that are now being more accepted as, okay, that makes sense for you to do that. And so, the issue becomes when someone is in this decision point, yeah, it's usually couched in the notion that, my home's old. I'd like to get a newer, bigger one, but I'm locked into my current 2 to 3% mortgage. And so that tends to kind of overtake their entire thinking. Like, well, I only have one choice. I have a 2.5% mortgage. Well, then the only choice I have is I've got to renovate if I don't like my house as to its age, because that causes, it's now at an age where there's maintenance or repair issues, or because it no longer serves my needs as well as it did before. Maybe because I have a growing family, if I'm, a younger owner with now children that I didn't have before, or I'm an older owner who I thought I was an empty nester, and like, oh, wait a minute, there's somebody at the front doorstep that wants to move back in. So you gotta realize that even though you have that 2.5% mortgage, that doesn't automatically mean you're stuck. And that the way you need to meet those additional needs you have has to be through renovation. You have to kind of take a more balanced view of which choice to take, because renovation costs certainly aren't getting any cheaper. A lot of renovations these days are pretty pricey and pretty costly in terms of what you're going to do. So what I always do is try to start with, well, okay, I mean, if you want to renovate, we can certainly provide you some financing options to achieve that goal. But at the same time, what is ultimately the basis of you making that decision? Are you doing the renovation because you need more space, you need more features in that home, you maybe have an adult child or children coming back in? Okay, that's fine. I would suggest if you're going to go the renovation route, you might want to consider what is your life plan in terms of how long you're going to keep the home. Because a lot of cases, you don't want to necessarily renovate a home with an idea that soon after you complete the renovations, you're going to turn around and sell. I mean, if that's the case, you have a pretty short timeline. I would argue, even if you have a low rate loan, 2.5 or whatever, you might be better off selling now anyway, because those renovation costs. I mean, there's got to be a payback there. You don't want to spend $150,000, $200,000 to renovate a home, and then, a year or two after you do that, you end up turning around and selling. That may not, in hindsight, have been the best choice to make. And so that's part of what I do when I get confronted with that kind of inquiry, is let's talk through. And I become sort of a sounding board, a devil's advocate, to like check their thinking and make sure that don't necessarily feel like you're locked into your home just because of the rate. There may be a reason why you should give up that rate,